Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Salam sejahtera, salam kita Selangor. Tachia Wang Sanghao. Mr. Ng Ting Yi, the President of Kuala Lumpur and Selangor Chinese Assembly Hall, Professor Dr. Hu Wing Ti, Vice President for Asia of the UN Sustainable Development Solution Network, Sunway University, distinguished guests from far and near, ladies and gentlemen. I am truly honored for the opportunity to address you on a momentous morning which marked a centenary since the inception of Kuala Lumpur and Selangor Chinese Assembly Hall in 1923. It is a pivotal milestone, and I invite all of you to join me in commemorating this occasion with a round of applause. Ladies and gentlemen, the 100-year anniversary of Kuala Lumpur and Selangor Chinese Assembly Hall is a milestone in a series of milestones for Malaysia this year. A few days ago, we celebrated Malaysia's 60th anniversary since the Federation of States in Peninsular Malaysia joined hands with Sabah and Sarawak and Singapore in 1963. In addition, today marks the 25th anniversary of the Strait Gathering Signalling, the beginning of the Reformasi movement in Malaysia on 20th September 1998. As a small country, I think we can all agree that Malaysia has come a long way since gaining independence 60 years ago in 1957. But I am also sure that we will all agree that we have a long way to go ahead. The 100-year anniversary of Kuala Lumpur Selangor Chinese Assembly Hall, not just purely a building, but a space which has been instrumental in being the center stage for important discussions, rooms which held hours and hours of conversation on a range of topics for education, the economy, healthcare, sustainability, culture, heritage, language, and so on. I believe today is an opportunity for us to dive deeper into these areas for one ultimate purpose: Malaysia's place in Southeast Asia today and charting the paths forward for brighter future, building a roadmap before we reach another important milestone, Malaysia at 100 years in the year 2063. On one hand, the majority of Malaysians desire and want better and quicker economic progress. That means jobs, but not just ordinary jobs. People want higher paying, quality, and dignified jobs in the most advanced sectors of the modern economy. From automation and the field of artificial intelligence to the manufacturing of chips, the opportunities are endless, but we cannot continue to lag behind as a country. In the field in Southeast Asia, our neighbors have not only caught up with Malaysia's industrial field, we are at risk of being left behind by like of Indonesia and Vietnam, while Thailand and their new government are not far behind. Globally, we are facing increasing threats of climate change, which has wreaked havoc recently in Hong Kong and Libya. Tens of thousands have lost their life, hundreds of thousands have been displaced, millions scared of life. And finally, education is and will always be priority always to provide families the key to improve their quality of life and enhance social mobility so that every child in Malaysia has an opportunity to equip themselves with the knowledge and skill regardless of their parents' income. These are three basic areas I believe we have to tackle head on in order to rejuvenate and breathe new life into Malaysia economy. Of course, the details matter. How we achieve this is crucial in providing the confidence to you and the business community that this government is prepared to walk the talk to put Malaysia back on track of success. Slightly over a year ago in Selangor, I launched the first Selangor Plan, a 5-year medium-term effort to not only cement Selangor's place as Malaysia's most advanced state, but accelerate our economic growth centered on sustainability while committing to improving and creating a smart government. We realize that it cannot be business as usual, and that was the driving force behind the first ever plan by any state in Malaysia to harness the efforts of all in the community, not the government infrastructure, but efforts of the private sector in a unified approach, because modern day government cannot continue to work in silos. Ladies and gentlemen, in talking about economic growth and expansion of Malaysia's role on the global stage, we have to be aware of the threats externally. Let's face it, when Kuala Lumpur Chinese Assembly Hall formed in 1923, the world was just recovering from the Great War and beginning to rebuild while facing the Great Depression. 16 years later, we were thrown into the fire of another war which ran until 1945. Today, while I do not foresee a war, certainly not a war of that scale, we cannot think lightly of or for granted. The Russian-Ukraine war does not yet seem to have an end in sight. The geopolitical tussle between China and America is slated to intensify. We have seen the effects, both politically and economically, which will also have threats to Malaysia's security, especially in the South China Sea. Food security has been treated with the supply of grain from Ukraine to Asia and Europe being reduced. The economic supply chain of goods from China after the COVID-19 pandemic has seen manufacturing companies look for countries to relocate their business operation. Some have moved to Vietnam, others are looking in Indonesia. On one thing is clear, the threats are endless. But in every crisis, I truly believe that represents an opportunity to pivot and innovate, because as a small nation, we cannot rest our laurels and hope that the business as usual approach will prepare us for success. At the federal level, we have seen a collective approach in the past 8 weeks under Dato Seri Anwar Ibrahim administration in some key areas. Firstly, the Madani Economic Framework, which is the overreaching narrative to get Malaysia out of the middle income trap to build more dignified economy. Secondly, the Energy Transition Plan announced jointly with the Minister Nik Nazmi Nik Ahmad, which seeks of transition Malaysia's energy production from traditional fossil fuels and coal power to renewable and more sustainable energy. Thirdly, the new Industrial Master Plan, which aimed to reindustrialize Malaysia after going through a period of premature deindustrialization in the late 90s and early 2000s to be the port of choice for high-quality manufacturing in Asia or Southeast Asia. And lastly, the midterm review of 12 Malaysia Plan announced by Minister Rafizi, which have passed yesterday in the Parliament, focusing on transitioning Malaysia's economy to high-income nation by reducing income inequality, improving the quality of infrastructure, and using technical and vocational education or TVET to short-circuit the process of equipping young Malaysians with better skill to get higher income jobs. While the road ahead is filled with uncertainty, this government under the Prime Minister leadership is certainly committed to putting Malaysia back on the right track through economic development and institutional reform, so that no matter who the government is in the upcoming term, Malaysia will be in a better place 4 to 5 years from now compared to November last year. And I am certain that commemorating the Kuala Lumpur Selangor Chinese Assembly Hall 100 years anniversary, the discussion throughout the day till this evening will be crucial with one ultimate goal in mind, building a country we will be proud of when Malaysia celebrate 100-year anniversary in 2063. With that, thank you for the opportunity and wish you all a wonderful day ahead. Thank you.